So this is the webinar for healing trauma through somatic therapy. There will be a feedback form at the beginning and at the end of the webinar. So if you guys could just fill that out, that'd be great. And this will be recorded and uploaded to YouTube. So please try to keep all comments and questions in the Zoom chat box. All right, so Focus on Wellness is a free wellness series. It brings mental health, career, and wellness topics to the general public from different clinicians here at Eden's Counseling Group. We feature a unique topic on the second Thursday of every month from 7 to 8 p.m. And just a little bit about me. So I received a bachelor's in forensic psychology as well as human services and community justice at John Jay College in New York City. And I received my master's in social work at the University of Houston here in Houston. I'm also a certified in trauma conscious yoga and have my 300-hour yoga teacher training. I have a passion for working with adolescents and adults dealing with substance use, depression, anxiety, life transitions, chronic illness and pain, cancer diagnosis, trauma, fertility journey, as well as sexual health. So I am a holistic, somatic, and spiritual therapist. I utilize internal family systems therapy, CBT, DBT, EMDR, and yoga as well. And my goal for working with clients is just to help them heal from trauma, better the relationships in their lives, and just work through their depression and anxiety. So for today's agenda, we're going to talk trauma facts, some statistics, and the effect of trauma on the body. We'll also explore the mind-body connection, talk about what is somatic therapy, and then I'll give some book recommendations as well. And then at the end, we'll have time for a little Q&A. So our learning objectives are to understand trauma and its effects on the body, to explain the connection between mind and body in trauma healing, and to discuss the benefits of somatic therapy for trauma survivors as well. So this was a quote that I found that I really liked. It says, trauma creates change you don't choose, while healing creates change you do choose. And I think that that's a great little way to explain about somatic therapy as well as just trauma healing in general. So I wanted us to do a quick little practice together. So progressive muscle relaxation is a relaxation technique that involves systemically tensing and then relaxing different muscle groups in your body. So this helps to reduce physical tension and promote a state of deep relaxation. So let's just begin by focusing on your breathing. Take a deep breath in through your nose and exhale slowly through your mouth. And as you breathe out, just feel your body start to relax and let go of any tension or stress. With each breath, allow yourself to feel calmer and just more at ease. So we'll start with our feet. Curl your toes downward, tightening the muscles in your feet, and hold. Now release, let your feet relax completely. Point your toes upward, flexing your calves, and hold. Now release and let the tension melt away. Squeeze your thighs together or press your legs down against the floor of the chair and hold. And relax. Feel your legs become heavy and loose. Tighten your stomach muscles, pulling your belly inward. Hold. Now let go, let your belly be soft and relaxed. Take a deep breath in, expanding your chest, and hold. And exhale, let the tension fade. Make a tight fist with both your hands. Hold it. Now release, letting your hands relax completely. Bend your elbows and tense your biceps. Hold. Now release and feel your arms go limp. Now raise your shoulders towards your ears as if you're shrugging. Hold. Now let them drop, releasing all tension. Gently tilt your head back, feeling the muscles in your neck tighten. And hold. Now relax, letting your head return to a neutral position. And finally, scrunch up your face, tightening your forehead, eyes, and jaw. And hold. Now release. Let your face become smooth and calm. Now just take a moment to scan your entire body. Notice any areas where tension might remain. And just imagine sending a wave of relaxation to that spot. With each breath, feel your body becoming heavier, softer, and completely at ease. Take one final deep breath in through your nose. And exhale slowly. And when you feel ready, you can gently wiggle your fingers and toes, bringing your awareness back to the room, maybe opening your eyes if you close them. All right, so now we'll talk a little bit about PTSD. So, PTSD is a mental health condition that can develop after experiencing or witnessing a traumatic event. So, these events can include natural disasters, war, accidents, abuse, or just any situation that causes intense fear, helplessness, or horror. It affects how the brain processes stress and memories of the trauma. While it's natural to feel afraid or stressed after a traumatic event, PTSD occurs when these feelings persist and interfere with daily life for an extended period. So, PTSD can result from a range of traumatic experiences. So, we have direct trauma, which is physical or sexual assault, combat, serious accidents, or natural disasters. We also have witnessing trauma, so observing violence, accidents, or harm to others. And then we have indirect trauma, which is learning that a loved one has experienced trauma or repeated exposure to distressing details, such as in first responders. So, some of the symptoms of PTSD are some intrusive thoughts. You may have flashbacks, nightmares, or distressing memories of the traumatic event. You might feel as if you're reliving the event. There's also avoidance. So, avoiding reminders of the trauma, such as people, places, or situations. Avoiding talking about or even thinking about the event. Negative changes in thinking or mood, so difficulty remembering the event. Persistent negative beliefs about oneself, others, or the world. Feelings of guilt, shame, or blame. Loss of interest in previously enjoyed activities or feelings of detachment from others. And then hyperarousal and reactivity. So being easily startled or feeling on edge, difficulty sleeping or concentrating, irritability, anger, or aggressive behavior. So there is also complex PTSD, which develops in response to prolonged repeated trauma, often in situations where escape is difficult or impossible. It's related to traditional PTSD, but involves additional symptoms that reflect the unique challenges of enduring sustained trauma. So complex PTSD is typically associated with chronic abuse or neglect, so physical, emotional, or sexual abuse in childhood or adulthood, domestic violence, human trafficking or slavery, so being subjected to long-term exploitation or captivity, war or genocide, living under sustained threat or oppression, as well as prolonged medical trauma, so repeated hospitalizations or medical procedures during your formative years. The key factor is the prolonged duration of trauma, which disrupts the individual's ability to develop a sense of safety or control. So some of the symptoms for complex PTSD, you still have your core PTSD symptoms like intrusive memories, flashbacks or nightmares, avoidance of trauma reminders, hypervigilance and heightened startle response, and emotional numbness. But there's also emotional dysregulation, so difficulty managing emotions leading to intense anger, sadness, or numbness, frequent outbursts or feeling overwhelmed by minor stressors, negative self perception, so chronic feelings of shame, guilt, or worthlessness, and the belief that you're damaged or fundamentally unworthy. There's also difficulty with relationships, so problems trusting others or forming close connections, fear of abandonment or a strong need for control in relationships. There's also distorted perception of the abuser, so feelings of powerlessness or preoccupation with the abuser, as well as over identifying with or idolizing the abuser. There's detachment from reality, so dissociation, feeling disconnected from yourself or reality, as well as amnesia for parts of the traumatic experience. And finally, there's persistent negative emotions, so chronic despair, hopelessness, or inability to feel joy. So here are the differences between PTSD and complex PTSD. With PTSD, it's a single traumatic event, short term or one time experience. And you have your core PTSD symptoms, such as flashbacks, avoidance, and hyperarousal. And the impact is acute distress. Whereas complex PTSD, it's prolonged, repeated trauma over time, long term sustained trauma. It includes the core symptoms plus emotional regulation and relationship issues. And the impact are pervasive effects on self identity and your worldview. So, trauma can have a profound effect on both physical and emotional health due to how it is stored and processed by the body and the brain. When a traumatic event occurs, the brain and body respond in a way that aims to protect the individual from immediate harm. But if the trauma is not fully processed, these responses can become chronic and impact long term well being. Trauma is a somatic reaction. You can experience nightmares, headaches, heart pounding, sweaty palms, shortness of breath, hypervigilance, chronic pain, and stomach aches, among many other symptoms. So, when a person experiences trauma, the brain, specifically the amygdala, which handles the fight or flight response, signals the body to release stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. These hormones prepare the body to either fight, flee, or freeze. If the trauma is extreme or prolonged, the body may not have the chance to complete the stress response, leaving the body in a heightened state of readiness. This is sometimes referred to as incomplete trauma processing or body memory. So the body can store trauma in a few different ways. One is with muscle tension and posture. So muscles might remain tense or in a particular posture that mimicked a defensive stance or withdrawal during the trauma. The nervous system may remain in a state of hyper or hypo arousal, leading to chronic stress or dissociation. And trauma can impact the cellular level, so affecting how the cells respond to stress and causing patterns of reactivity that are hard to shift without focused therapy. So, just some of the effects of trauma. We have physical, emotional, and the nervous system. So, with physical health, unresolved trauma can contribute to tension, inflammation, and pain conditions such as fibromyalgia, migraines, or neck or back pain. Chronic stress hormones can impact the digestive system, leading to conditions like IBS, acid reflux, or other gastrointestinal issues. And the stress response can suppress immune functioning, making individuals more susceptible to illness and infections. Elevated stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline can increase heart rate and blood pressure, contributing to long term cardiovascular issues such as hypertension and even heart disease. And it affects our emotional health. So, chronic hyperarousal can make individuals feel on edge or overly alert, contributing to anxiety and panic disorders. A state of hypoarousal can lead to feelings of numbness, dissociation, and depression, as the nervous system essentially shuts down to protect against perceived threats. So, trauma can also disrupt the brain's ability to regulate emotions, leading to sudden mood swings, intense anger, or sadness without even a clear trigger. And some people may disconnect from their bodies or emotions, which is a coping mechanism called dissociation. That can interfere with relationships and a sense of identity. So, trauma also affects our nervous system. So, the sympathetic nervous system is responsible for the fight or flight response. Trauma can keep it in a heightened state, leading to chronic stress responses, even in safe situations. And then we have our parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for the rest and digest functions. Often it gets overridden during trauma, leading to a lack of relaxation and recovery. So, for some, trauma results in a freeze response where they feel numb, detached, or immobilized. And there's also vagus nerve involvement. So, the vagus nerve connects the brain to many organs, helping regulate the heart, lungs, and digestive tract. So, trauma can disrupt vagal tone, leading to poor stress resilience and a greater likelihood of experiencing anxiety and physical symptoms. So, here are just some trauma statistics. So, 70% of adults worldwide experience at least one traumatic event in their lifetime, with higher prevalence rates in certain regions and demographics due to factors like socioeconomic status, community violence, and natural disasters. A study in the US found that 6 out of 10 men and 5 out of 10 women experience more than one traumatic event. About 61% of adults report having at least one adverse childhood experience, such as abuse, neglect, or household dysfunction. And 6% of Americans will experience PTSD at some point in their lives, with women twice as likely to be affected as men. This gender difference is often attributed to the types of trauma experienced and social factors affecting women. And finally, worldwide, around 3.9% of the population will experience PTSD, with prevalence higher in areas with significant conflict or natural disasters. So, as you can see from these statistics, trauma is pretty much like normal. It's what a lot of people are experiencing in today's society. So, now we'll talk about the mind body connection, which refers to the relationship between our thoughts, emotions, and physical health. This connection is the way our mental and emotional states can influence our body's physical condition and vice versa. Research has shown that our mental health can impact physical health outcomes and that the state of our physical health can also affect mental well being. Just as thoughts and emotions can impact the body, physical health affects mental health. Physical conditions like chronic pain, hormonal imbalances, and even diet can influence emotions and mental states. So, exercise, for example, boosts endorphins, which can improve mood and reduce symptoms of depression and anxiety. Trauma healing requires emotional processing, and the mind body connection makes that possible. So, by noticing physical sensations that accompany emotions, such as tightness in the chest or shoulders when feeling anxious, individuals can become more in tune with their feelings. This awareness provides a pathway to release emotions without necessarily needing to recall specific traumatic memories, which is especially useful in cases where memories are fragmented or repressed. By becoming aware of bodily sensations and grounding in the present moment, individuals can gently work through physical and emotional reactions related to trauma, allowing them to process unresolved experiences without becoming overwhelmed. By nurturing this connection, we can improve resilience, reduce stress, and enhance overall well being. The connection between mind and body is central for trauma healing because trauma affects not only mental and emotional states, but also creates physical responses that can linger long after the traumatic event. So, trauma healing approaches that incorporate both the mind and body help to process and release trauma stored within the body, reduce chronic stress responses, and improve emotional regulation. It emphasizes the need for a holistic approach that addresses both physical and psychological effects of trauma. Through therapies that combine mindfulness, movement, breath, and bodily awareness, individuals can process trauma at a deeper level, restore balance to their nervous system, and rebuild a sense of safety and control over both body and mind. So, what is somatic therapy? Soma means relating to the body. So, somatic therapy is all about the mind body connection. Somatic therapy involves becoming aware of when our bodies are telling us that we're stressed or triggered. This happens through muscle tension, stomach aches, headaches, shallow breathing, throat tightness, or numbness. Somatic therapy also involves learning how to calm or discharge that stress, tension, and trauma through your nervous system. These techniques can include breathing exercises, dance, mindfulness, and other body movement techniques. So, a somatic therapist helps people release damaging pent up emotions in their bodies by using various mind body techniques. The goal is to help an individual notice physical sensations stemming from their mental health issues and use that awareness to work through painful feelings and emotions. Somatic therapies aim to gently restore balance to the nervous system by helping individuals safely process and release the stored trauma. By learning to reconnect with bodily sensations and emotions in a safe and controlled way, trauma survivors can gradually build resilience, emotional regulation, and a greater sense of safety within their bodies. So, just some benefits of somatic therapy: you have reduced physical and psychological discomfort, decreased strain and pain, as well as decreased stress, reduced irritability, improved concentration and confidence, increased hope and resiliency, heightened physical well being, improved relationships, and improved sleeping. So there are different types of somatic therapy. We have EMDR, which is becoming a lot more popular nowadays. So this therapy uses bilateral actions while recalling traumatic experiences to create new brain connections to those memories. So new connections help us to desensitize the difficult older emotions so that way we can reprocess the memory. By focusing on both memories and body sensations, clients can learn to decrease distress over time, leading to a mind body integration of the traumatic experience. There's also the Hakomi method, which combines mindfulness and somatic therapy. So, mindfulness therapies are about being present in the moment without judgment. So, this includes examining mannerisms and habits such as twirling of the hair, biting the lip, facial expressions, or posture. They're all clues about our unconscious beliefs about ourselves. Then there's sensory motor psychotherapy, which combines attachment theory, neuroscience, the Hakomi method, and body therapies. It has three different phases. The first is establishing safety and stabilization. The second is exploring and processing in small pieces to learn empowerment and healing. And the third is integrating this new, stronger sense of self into daily life. Then there is neurosomatic therapy, which involves physical releases and massage work, so posture imbalances and other physical exercises. And finally, we have somatic experiencing, which the goal is to modify the trauma related stress response through bottom up processing. So, what our bodies/senses are telling us. There are different somatic interventions that can be used. First, we have mindful breathing, so grounding and centering. Then we have body scanning, which is when you bring attention to your body, noticing different sensations as you mentally scan down from head to toe. Next, we have guided imagery and visualization. So, guided imagery is when you visualize positive images or scenarios in your mind. During guided imagery, a person uses all their senses and their imagination to help relax the body and develop a sense of well being. Next, you have movement, which includes yoga, Tai Chi, and dance. You also have intuitive eating, which is about trusting your body to make food choices that feel good for you without judging yourself or the influence of diet culture. Pendulation is when you swing your focus between stressful content and something completely non-stress related, so something calming/soothing. Then we have titration, which is a process in which we experience small levels of distress at a time, with the focus being to release and discharge the tension from the body. Resourcing helps to identify the resources that the client may have. So sometimes this is a practice of coming up with a secure place, which can be real or imaginary to give a feeling of peace, ease, and calm. Sequencing is the process by which the body based tension begins to release, and it typically happens with a beginning movement. So the sensation moves up or down a part of the body and then slowly starts to lessen. Tension in the belly may begin moving upward to the upper body. You might feel tightness in your chest and then feel like your arms are heavy. And finally, we have self soothing. So that includes the butterfly hug or caressing yourself. It's an emotional regulation strategy used to regain equilibrium after an upsetting event. All right, and I just wanted to take this time to talk a little bit about trauma conscious yoga. So we know that trauma is not only physical, but also in the brain. The memory and emotional centers of the brain, such as the hippocampus and amygdala, activate the body whenever a situation reminds you of the traumatic event or events. So, trauma conscious yoga is less about how poses are executed and more about the feeling of being within your body within a pose. So, you are finding a sense of grounding to help you connect to your mind and body in a way that feels secure. This method encourages people to stay present, feel their feelings, and not dissociate from their body, which, as we know, is a common trauma response. It also helps to regulate the nervous system, particularly the fight or flight response. So, with trauma conscious yoga, yoga poses, especially those that open up areas where trauma might be stored, like your hips and your chest, helps to just release the tension, build emotional resilience, and restore a sense of safety. The benefits include feeling safe and strong, ability to express more in therapy. It strengthens your inner resources. There's increased self compassion. You learn to ask for help. There's more trust in yourself and others. There's more awareness of your needs and resiliency. You get to feel seen and valued, and you have more confidence and courage. So here are some good book recommendations. I'll leave this for like about a minute if you want to take like a screenshot or write down some of these books. But these are some really good books for trauma healing. Walking the Tiger is one of my favorite ones, as well as My Grandmother's Hands. Those are two of my favorite books that I've read. Yeah, so these are some really good book recommendations. All right, so next I want us to do some breath work together. So the balance between the sympathetic and parasympathetic systems is crucial for maintaining optimal health in the body. Various activities such as deep breathing exercises, meditation, and relaxation techniques can help activate the parasympathetic nervous system and promote a state of calm and well-being. So the first one we'll do is called box breathing. You breathe in through your nose for a count of 4. Hold your breath for another count of 4. Exhale through your nose for a count of 4, and then hold your breath again for a count of 4. All right, so we can just practice it. So breathe in through your nose, hold, and exhale, and then hold again. All right, so the next one is the 4-7-8 method. So this one you would inhale through your nose for a count of 4. Hold your breath for a count of 7 and exhale through your nose for a count of 8. So we can practice this together. So inhale, hold, and exhale. And finally, the last one is called pursed lips. So with this one, you inhale through your nose for 2 seconds, just keeping your mouth closed. You purse your lips like you're about to blow air, and then breathe out through your lips for a count of 4 seconds. So breathe in through your nose for 2, purse your lips, and then breathe out for 4. All right. So can you see somatic therapy helping to heal your trauma or your client's trauma? And then now we'll do a quick little Q&A session. So I'll stop sharing. Right. So if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat box. All right. So there's a few questions. Um, so what are some additional grounding techniques you like to use to open and close sessions? So for me, I love the 5-4-3-2-1 technique. So that's 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and then 1 thing you can taste. I also just love to do body scanning with clients. I think I do that with almost all of my clients as well. And then guided imagery. And then to close out sessions, probably like a gratitude reflection or some breath work, as well as affirmations or different mantras to help them. And I love giving my clients journal prompts as well too. No problem. Mentioned yoga, was it somatic yoga before counseling sessions or something that you lead? Yeah, so with yoga, the trauma conscious yoga, that would be something that I would lead in session with the client. So I do have a few clients that I do that with. We typically process first and then we move into doing the yoga. So we'll do about 15 to 20 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes of a yoga session. So somatic therapy effectiveness statistics. I am not 100% sure on like all the stats, but I know that there was one study that showed, I think it was like 40% of people that engaged in somatic therapy felt like it helped with their PTSD and even complex PTSD. There are some studies that have shown that it has like lasting effects as well too. So it shows improvements like continuing throughout the years. So a lot of that would be the grounding, titration, the pendulation, just any ways to help kind of like process and regulate their emotions. It helps just long term. Do these techniques help with someone having extreme anxiety? Yes, they definitely help with anxiety as well too. So a lot of the movement, a lot of the grounding, the centering will help with anxiety. Specific research that discusses the link of trauma and the digestive issues. No, I don't have any specific articles, but I'm sure there are some good ones out there. How does the body slash brain scan work? So pretty much with the body scanning, you would scan your entire body from head to toe. Typically, I kind of lead the clients through that. So I'll let them know which areas of their body to kind of scan. And it's just you focusing on specific areas of the body at one at a time. So that way you can see if there's any tension or any warmth, any sensations that are coming up in that particular area of the body. The research that I've seen, it was with somatic therapy alone, but I think somatic therapy does work well in conjunction with other kinds of therapy. So it works well. Like I'll do a mix of talk therapy and somatic therapy all in one session. So I think a lot of the interventions can be used with other interventions as well. So if you have any other questions or you want to talk more about somatic therapy, this is my email address. So you can always reach out. I love talking about somatic therapy. It's one of my favorite things to discuss. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Watch your email for both the replay and the questionnaire. And the feedback form is also linked in the chat. So if you guys could take some time to do that as well. And if you guys have any questions, you can always call or text us to schedule a free consultation. All right. Thank you so much for joining tonight. Thank you. I'm so happy that you found the information helpful.